The pain is still in the air, and we got to recap and talk about it. What were the biggest mistakes made by the Detroit Lions this season? Let's get into it right now. Top Title Entertainment. Let's go.
Perfect.
Top Title Entertainment. I am Eric Vincent, your host, Detroit Pistons beat reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Let's just get to it. The misery is still in the air. The pain is still in the air. The Detroit Lions came up short. Super Bowl run did not happen this year. Lost to the divisional round, Washington Commanders, the 6th seed, as the 1 seed, at home to the Commanders in a beatdown. The wounds are still there. The wounds are still fresh. And it's time to unpack what truly went wrong this season. To me, the number one reason of why the Lions are not still playing for a Super Bowl is obviously the injuries. I think that's number one over everything. And that's just out of their control. You can only do so much when the majority of your defensive starters in depth are injured and done for the year. There were guys that were banged up throughout the year. Lee McNeil was hurt at least 2-3 times in the season, and then he tore his ACL towards the end of the year. Carlton Davis had about 3, 4, maybe 5 injuries before he got his jaw opened up. So it was a lot of things that went wrong. But outside of what was outside of the Lions' control, we're going to talk about what they could have controlled, that maybe could have prevented or had a different outcome. I'd love to hear from you. Talk to me in the comments, because we're going to talk about directly what happened and what were the biggest mistakes in the Detroit Lions season of 2024-2025. Number one for me is something that I was getting a lot of hate for, a lot of criticism for. I think it was a lack of support around Aiden Hutchinson. To me, Aiden Hutchinson is the best player on this Detroit Lions roster. I think he has the most upside, the most dominance. He's your best game breaker. And the best way to complement your best game breaker is to put the adequate amount of support and resources around him. I think they did a little bit of that by bringing in DJ Reader, bringing in some secondary help, bringing in guys that can help a little bit among the defensive line. But they didn't bring in another true pass rushing dynamo that could have truly complemented and took a lot more pressure off of Aiden Hutchinson. And just think about that anyway, because before he went down in Dallas, he was running away with Defensive Player of the Year based on the number of pressures he was getting, the number of sacks he was getting, the quarterback hits that he was generating, and he was still getting a crazy amount of double teams and extra attention his way. So even with all of that, even with the guys that they brought in, you still relied on guys that were unproven on the defensive line on the other side of him. Marcus Davenport, we already knew coming into the season, was a problem in terms of his injuries. He couldn't stay healthy, and then he tore his shoulder in the, second or third game of the year, and he was done for the season. He was on a 1-year rental deal, and now we're probably never going to see Marcus Davenport again. James Houston, who was coming off of injury last season prior to this one, he seemed like a completely different player after that injury. Not only was his technique and his prowess not the same, but he was also being played out of position as a coverage lineman, which has never been what he's good at. So that took all the steam and the momentum that he had built up his rookie season as one of the most impressive pass rushers in his rookie season. Now, all of a sudden, he's gone. He's gone in Cleveland now. He was getting hurt. He wasn't producing the same, racking up penalties, not getting enough kind of pressure that we were used to seeing from him. And now when Hutch is gone, you don't have any kind of that same pressure. Now, granted, you did go and get Zadarius Smith just before the trade deadline, and I appreciate that. To me, a guy like him should have been in the fold to start this season. Whether it was through the draft, a trade, free agency, enter whatever name you want. It doesn't matter to me. The point is, you kicked the tire for too long on bringing in the adequate amount of help for somebody like Hutch, who was the most dominant pass rusher for half the season. When I was sitting here last year saying bringing in Donovan Peoples-Jones makes no sense when you could have went after a guy like Montez Sweat at the trade deadline, all I got was hate on my social media. That's all I got. There was no true number 2 for a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. And even when you brought in Zadarius, who had a couple good games against some bad teams, he showed that he wasn't really the guy to be the number one anchor, or maybe not even a number two at this point or age in his career. He's a good player. He's a veteran. He's still helpful. But a lot of the guys that you had from him, Josh Paschal, Levi Ozarike, a lot of these guys were dealing with injuries every 2-3 weeks. It was the same thing. DJ Reader was spending time in and out. We already talked about Aleem McNeil. It was so many injuries among this D line, and it just shows that, injuries aside, you can't just rely on one dude as your game breaker. I don't know if they made a pitch for a guy like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or whoever it was. It didn't seem like they were enthused enough to go for a true game breaker to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson. The D-line is the most important part of a defense, and you relied on a bunch of dudes that were not true game breakers. It was a bunch of guys that were on trial runs that maybe we could just get a little bit out for them for a year and some experimental type stuff, and it didn't work. It did not work. You cannot keep surrounding Hutch with just these guys that maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. No. If you're in a Super Bowl window and you know your team is going to change the way it's going to this offseason, you need to put the best kind of resources around your franchise player. And the Lions didn't do that. Brad Holmes, you have a knack for reaching for injury-prone guys that maybe will work out or maybe they won't. But hey, we got them for the cheap and maybe they can pop off for us. That has to change now, bro. That has to change. If you have true Super Bowl aspirations, go get the right help for your franchise player. It's that simple to me, bro. Number two, the offensive coaching consistency. I just think it was up and down all season with Ben Johnson. It was so confusing to me, and I'm not even upset that he's gone to Chicago at this point. I didn't care. I did not care. I know he got so many raving reviews from the national media about how creative he was, the new boy genius, the next Sean McVay. He ain't any of that, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not sold on Ben Johnson in any way, shape, or form. He can go to Chicago. I don't think anything is going to happen with them. I'm not scared of that franchise in any way, shape, or form, because a lot of the things that he did, to me, were the biggest deciding factors of how this offense was going to look through this season. Coming into the year, I thought the offense was supposed to carry. And there was a good portion of the season where the defense was the strong focal point. Limiting teams. The Lions were one of the best teams in terms of red zone efficiency, getting off the field on third down. And that was all because of Aaron Glenn's creativity as a defensive scheming coach. He was the brain genius in terms of the coordinators, not Ben Johnson. I don't care about the flashy trick plays and, oh, we're going to do a hook and ladder here and, oh, we're going to throw to Jared Goff on the goal line. Bro, I ain't trying to hear that. If you have the best offensive line in football, the number one rushing attack in football, a stacked receiver core with Amon-Ra St. Brown, a breakout Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick playing well, and then you have Sam Laporta, who's still an all-pro talent. And then, of course, Jared Goff, who we're going to get to in a minute. If you have this kind of support, you shouldn't have to be relying on trick plays to get in the end zone. If you're one of the most dominant teams in the NFC, if you have this kind of support and these kind of attack weapons around you, you shouldn't have to be lining up in 3rd and 1 against the Commanders in an empty back set with Jared Goff in shotgun. You should be able to hand the ball off to your running back and push forward for a first down. Some of the stuff he was doing just made no sense, bruh. A lot of things he did made no damn sense to me. He tried to get too tricky and creative for his own good, put Jared Goff in positions where he had to throw 40 sometimes, like we saw against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he threw even more than 40 times that game. But whenever he had to throw more than 40 times, which I think was in 4 games, the Lions were 1-3 in those games. Because that's not your identity. Now, granted, you got away with it. You're 15-2 for the regular season, and kudos to you. That's good. You got it done. You clinched that number 1 seed. You looked dominant in some stretches, but still in the biggest moments, even just going back to last season, I said the exact same thing. The coaching is going to be the X factor. Don't get in your own way. And I didn't see enough consistency from Ben Johnson to prove to me that he was somebody that I wanted to keep along this coaching staff for the foreseeable future. I'm fine with him being in Chicago now because I don't think he's going to last that damn long. I truly don't. I have no worries about what Chicago is going to do. I don't give a damn about seeing them twice a year. We'll still take care of them if we have to, depending on what our coaching staff looks like. Because based on how it's going, everybody's going to be gone except Dan Campbell. But we'll get into that another time. To me, I don't care. Ben Johnson is not as impressive as everybody tried to make him out to be. Yes, the numbers warranted that he was good in his position. That's fine. But he also got in the way when you didn't need him to, where he's calling toss plays for no reason, where he's getting over creative for no reason, putting in Jahmyr Gibbs in situations early in the season when it's 3rd and 1, giving him the ball instead of your hammerback that's a veteran and a guy like David Montgomery. I was not sold on anything that I saw from Ben Johnson this season. Yes, the numbers are in his favor, and that's why he got a new job, but I don't give a damn that he's gone. He hurt this team. I'm not going to say he hurt them more than he helped them, but in the biggest spots where they needed him, he was more hurtful than helpful. That's what I saw, and I'm happy he's gone. Good riddance, pal. Number 3, I'm ready for this one, and I don't give a damn if y'all agree or not. The biggest mistake the Detroit Lions have made was Jared Goff's contract extension. Sorry, bro. Y'all put way too much in stock in this dude. He's a fine player. You can win with Jared Goff. He is a efficient enough quarterback to help win you some games. You can win with game managers. We've seen it with Trent Dilfer. We've seen it with Alex Smith. We've seen it with Joe Flacco. We've seen it with game managing guys. It's okay. But the way Lions fans and the media and some people treated this dude, acting like he is a Ferrari in a car shop. He's not. He's a Honda Civic. He's a Honda Civic that y'all chanted for in Lions games, at LCA, at Michigan games, at the store, in the airport. Bruh, enough. Enough. He is not what y'all try to act like he is. Dan Campbell, you're good enough for Detroit. Underdogs are underdogs for a reason, guys. Underdogs are replaceable, and Jared Goff is 100% replaceable, but based on the contract that was just given to him, now that may not be the case. Now you might be stuck with this dude for the foreseeable future, and it makes me sick to my stomach. This dude is limiting of this offense. He's limiting of this offense. And again, it's the same kind of conversation for Ben Johnson. That doesn't mean he's not good at what he does, and that doesn't mean your success wasn't found based on what he's given you. Yes, you're still able to win games with him. You got to the postseason. Last season, you got to the NFC Championship game, and I don't hold anything on last season what he did. This season, though, Goff was not impressive to me. He was not. He was not impressive to me. Type in the comment right now. What was the best throw, the most impressive throw that Jared Goff made this season? I'll wait. Talk to me and tell me. Does he have a throw like Stafford had against the Tennessee Titans and I think his last year with the Lions where he was doing a no-looker in coverage with 4 guys around Marvin Jones Jr.? Absolutely not. No, he was not making plays like that. Jared Goff is a guy that needs a system scripted around him, and that's okay. That is fine. But if you were to rank the offensive players on this team, Jared Goff's not in your top 5 in terms of the most talented. He's not. He's not. Penei Sewell, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, both running backs, Sam Laporta, Frank Ragnow, all better at their position than Jared Goff is at his. And he proved that too. When the resources are taken away from him or he has to be the guy to will you to victory, he's not that. When they put their momentum back against the Commanders, it was not because of Jared Goff. It was because Jahmyr Gibbs caught a roll and he was making plays out of the backfield, not because Jared Goff was wheeling this offense to a victory or to better momentum. He was killing the momentum with his bad decision-making. With the picks he was throwing, the fumbles he had, skipping the ball in the dirt across the field, Goff was terrible when you needed him to be at his best. And he was an MVP caliber player based on his numbers. That doesn't take away from the fact that he's still limited as a game manager. Nick Wright called this dude a pedestrian at quarterback, saying you can't win with a statue under center. And he's 100% right. He's 100% right. I saw all the talk on social media. I saw all y'all slandered him like he was crazy. He wasn't. He was not. There are no Tom Brady's left in the NFL. None. Every quarterback now is able to move, extend plays, and improv when things go wrong. When things go wrong and Goff has to make a play and move, we're done. There's nothing you can do. Don't tell me nothing about how he was against the blitz, because still you can throw on script plays against the blitz. That's what he did. There were still blitzers that were getting picked up by his running backs. He didn't have to scramble around and make plays with his feet and improv. The few times that he did scramble and run, we treated it like we saw Jesus walking on water because he doesn't do that. But you saw when Jaden Daniels got pressured and he got defenders in his face, he was able to scramble off for 7 yards and keep a drive alive and keep the clock moving. Y'all treated Jared Goff like he was just this world beater, this ceiling raising quarterback. He's never been that. Even when he was with the Rams, with Todd Gurley, with all the offensive weapons that they had, all the defensive help and support that he had, the breakout coaching with Sean McVay, the unpredictability that he brought to that division and to that football team. It's the same damn thing. Goff is the same dude. He's not different. His support was different. We saw it when he first got here. It's not any different, bruh. And I remember, y'all, I remember the fans on my social media. I remember when Lamar Jackson couldn't get a contract agreement with his team in the Baltimore Ravens. And I said, man, if the Lions could shake something, if they can make a move and bring him over here, I think that would make this team that much better than they are now. And I had to hear the chants, no, Jared Goff, Jared. I had to hear it from y'all for the longest. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. If you were on the side saying that, hey, it's going to cost a lot of picks to get Lamar, it's going to take a big contract to get Lamar, it's going to take heaven and earth to move him and bring him over here, and I'm not sure if I want to move those assets, I was okay with that argument. I wasn't arguing with that at all. You don't want to move all that? No problem. I get it. It is going to be expensive to bring a two-time MVP over here. He might win his third this season. I totally understand that. The argument I'm on the side of and arguing against is people telling me that Goff was better. There's no world that exists where Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Oh, the same Lamar Jackson that choked in the postseason? Yeah, I'll still take that guy because he's a floor and ceiling raiser. We saw that when he had to play with guys like Hollywood Brown as his number one, and he still got them to the playoffs. When he was losing J.K. Dobbins, his number one running back, before Derrick Henry even got there, he was still pulling his team to the playoffs. Still. And then he came up short against a Pat Mahomes. That's fine. Josh Allen does that too. Joe Burrow does that too. That does not discount the talent that Lamar Jackson is. He still might win his third MVP this season, and he's a guy that makes guys around him better. Can we definitively say that Jared Goff has made the talent around him better? No. Hell no. Absolutely not. That does not exist. That is not real, and I don't give a damn what you say because the facts prove it right now. Jared Goff relies on the talent around him. And I'm tired of y'all elevating him as this Rudy underdog story because underdogs can be replaced too. You want to have pride in Jared Goff? That's fine. He is not the franchise changer that y'all have built him up to be. He's not. He never has been, and he never will be. And I'll be stuck into this $200 million contract with him for too damn long at this point. I'm sick, bro. I'm absolutely sick thinking about it every time that I have to. Goff was terrible in the biggest spots, and y'all forgave him when he threw 5 picks against the Houston Texans, and they still found a way to win the game. He was the one you were chancing on while people were crapping on Aaron Glenn, talking garbage about the offensive line when they weren't coming up short, going off on Jameson Williams when he was getting in trouble, talking about the defense underperforming. It was everybody's fault except Jared Goff, except the franchise face, except the game manager who couldn't stand in the pocket without getting sneezed on and sacked in the process. That's the guy that y'all cheering for at other arenas during their games. Jared Goff, bruh. He's a game manager. He's a Honda Civic, and y'all treated him like a Ferrari all season. And now we got to deal with him for the rest of this tenure of his contract. Makes me sick to my stomach, bro. And so does this current state of the Lions not still being in the postseason. Because I guarantee if you had a mobile quarterback that could have extended plays and kept pace with the Commanders, which we thought was going to be the game plan any damn way, they probably would have won or at least kept the game closer than it was. The offense would be moving and Goff would ruin the momentum every single time. And now we out of the postseason. This is so painful, man. It's painful being in this position right now. But talk to me. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't think I am, but I'll listen to you. I'm willing to entertain it in the comment section. Talk to me and let me know what you think the biggest mistakes were by the Lions this season. I would love to hear your feedback. Hit me up, like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can hit my goal, trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Really trying to push this thing forward and get this community bigger and bigger so we can get this content out surface for you in this amazing Detroit sports community. I would really appreciate it, y'all. Hit me up right here. I appreciate your time. This is Top Title Entertainment. Again, you can lock in with me too on clutchpoints.com with all of my work for the Detroit Pistons. You can subscribe to me on social media as well at I am Eric Vincent. Would really appreciate the love from y'all, man. Top Title Entertainment. I appreciate y'all being here. I am Eric Vincent. I'll see you again soon. Peace.